Florida had more than 1.03 million registered vessels in 2024. Think about that for a second. In a state where more than 1 million boats are registered, choosing the right pickup truck is not just about looking intimidating in a parking lot. Your truck may need to tow a fishing boat to the Gulf Coast on Saturday, survive a thunderstorm on Monday, carry construction equipment on Tuesday, sit in Miami traffic on Wednesday, and somehow not bankrupt you at the gas pump by Friday. That changes everything about what makes a pickup truck good in Florida. So today on VHCar, we are ranking the 10 best pickup trucks to buy in Florida in 2026. And this is not simply a list of the 10 trucks with the biggest towing numbers. We are comparing towing capacity, engines, payload, size, comfort, fuel economy, available 4-wheel or all-wheel drive, bed practicality, technology, and, most importantly, how each truck actually fits Florida life. Some of these trucks are perfect for towing a boat. Others make much more sense if you live in Tampa, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, or Miami, and simply want a useful bed without driving something the size of a small commercial building. And the truck at number 1 may not be the most exotic or the most expensive, but it gives Florida buyers something none of the others can match quite as completely. Before we start, here is the first question for you. Tell us in the comments what city or state you are watching from, and what you would actually use your truck for. Boat towing, construction, fishing, daily commuting, off-roading? Or are you buying one because you simply like trucks? There is no shame in that. Half the automotive industry survives because people buy things they absolutely do not need. Number 10 is the Honda Ridgeline. I can already hear traditional truck owners closing the video. Yes, the Ridgeline uses a unibody platform. Yes, it drives more like a crossover than a traditional body-on-frame pickup. And yes, if your definition of a truck requires a solid rear axle and the ability to tow a house off its foundation, this probably is not your first choice. But Florida is exactly the kind of place where the Ridgeline makes more sense than people expect. Every 2026 Ridgeline uses a 3.5-liter V6, producing 280 horsepower, and Honda rates every trim to tow up to 5,000 pounds. Depending on configuration, payload reaches roughly 1,500 pounds. It also gives you something almost nobody else in this ranking can match: a lockable 7.3 cubic foot trunk underneath the pickup bed and a dual-action tailgate. That trunk is genuinely useful in Florida. Beach equipment, fishing gear, tools, groceries, backpacks, or anything you do not want sitting openly in the bed can disappear beneath the floor. And because the Ridgeline rides and handles more like an SUV, it is considerably easier to live with in urban traffic than a full-size half-ton. Compare it with a Ford F-150 or Silverado. Those trucks destroy the Honda in maximum towing capability. There is no debate. But if you live in a condo, commute every day, occasionally visit the beach, move bicycles or home improvement supplies, and tow a relatively modest trailer or boat, buying 13,000 pounds of towing capacity you will never use can become an expensive way to transport air. The Ridgeline earns 10th place because it is one of the easiest pickups to live with. Its weakness is equally obvious. Once your towing and heavy work requirements increase, you quickly outgrow it. Number 9 is the Ford Maverick. If the Ridgeline irritates traditional pickup fans, the Maverick may cause an actual family argument. But dismissing it because it is small misses the entire point. The 2026 Maverick comes standard with a 2.5-liter full hybrid powertrain driving the front wheels, with all-wheel drive available on several trims. Standard towing capacity is 2,000 pounds, while the available 4K tow package increases maximum towing capability to 4,000 pounds. Ford also offers more adventure-oriented configurations, including Tremor with advanced four-wheel drive and off-road equipment. The Maverick belongs on this Florida list because many people who think they need a full-size pickup actually need a Maverick. Imagine you live around Orlando or Tampa. You drive to work 5 days per week. You need a bed for tools, plants, surfboards, bicycles, coolers, or weekend projects. You occasionally pull a small trailer. You want decent passenger space, but you do not regularly tow a 9,000-pound center console boat. A Maverick makes dramatically more sense than maneuvering a giant half-ton through parking garages every day. Against the Ridgeline, the Ford offers a smaller footprint and a hybrid as the standard powertrain. Against larger mid-size trucks such as Ranger and Colorado, it sacrifices towing and payload capability for easier urban use. And that is exactly why it ranks 9th instead of 10th. It understands something the pickup market occasionally forgets. Not every person needs more truck. Some people simply need enough truck. Number 8 is the Nissan Frontier. If the Maverick represents the modern small truck philosophy, the Frontier moves in almost the opposite direction. The 2026 Nissan Frontier still gives every buyer a naturally aspirated 3.8-liter V6, producing 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission. Maximum towing capacity reaches approximately 7,150 pounds, depending on configuration, while payload can approach 1,600 pounds. For Florida buyers who want a traditional midsize pickup without immediately entering full-size dimensions, this is a strong combination. The Frontier is especially interesting for someone towing a moderate fishing boat, utility trailer, or personal watercraft. 7,000 pounds of available towing moves it into a completely different category from the Maverick and Ridgeline. It also offers available 4-wheel drive, and the PRO 4X version adds equipment such as Bilstein shocks, an electronic locking rear differential, all-terrain tires, skid plates, and selectable terrain modes. Would I choose a PRO 4X for driving exclusively on Interstate 95? Probably not. That is like buying hiking boots to walk between your couch and refrigerator. But if you regularly deal with unpaved access roads, boat ramps, muddy property, or weekend outdoor trips, the additional hardware becomes useful. Where the Frontier falls behind newer rivals is powertrain variety. Toyota offers a hybrid Tacoma. Ford offers several turbocharged engines in the Ranger. Chevrolet gives Colorado massive turbocharged torque. Nissan basically looks at you and says, "Here is your V6." There is something refreshingly simple about that. Number 7 is the Ford Ranger. This is where our ranking begins, moving toward trucks that can realistically satisfy almost everyone without requiring full-size dimensions. The 2026 Ranger can tow up to 7,500 pounds when properly equipped with the trailer tow package. And maximum payload is around 1,767 pounds in current Ford specifications. XL, XLT, and Lariat models can reach that 7,500-pound maximum. The high-performance Ranger Raptor, interestingly, tows less, around 5,510 pounds, because its mission is high-performance off-road driving rather than maximum hauling. That distinction matters. People often assume the most expensive version of a truck must automatically be the best at everything. It is not. If you are buying a Ranger primarily to tow a boat around Florida, an XLT or Lariat with the proper towing equipment may actually make more sense than the Raptor. You get the full towing capacity without paying for off-road suspension designed for driving across terrain that South Florida has largely forgotten how to produce. The Ranger also offers a 2.3-liter EcoBoost engine and an available 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6 on certain trims. Ford's available Pro Trailer Backup Assist is another useful feature for buyers who regularly maneuver trailers at crowded ramps. Compared with the Frontier, the Ranger feels more technologically ambitious and gives you more powertrain choice. Compared with a full-size F-150, however, the Ranger is easier to maneuver and still gives you enough towing capacity for many recreational boats. That balance is why it lands at number 7. Number 6 is the Chevrolet Colorado. If towing capability is your priority, but you do not want a full-size pickup, pay attention here. The 2026 Chevrolet Colorado offers maximum available towing of 7,700 pounds, and Chevrolet advertises 430 pound-feet of standard torque from its turbocharged powertrain. That towing figure gives it a slight numerical advantage over the standard Ranger and puts it among the strongest choices in the midsize category for trailer-focused buyers. And in Florida, that matters. A 7,700-pound maximum does not mean you should automatically buy the heaviest boat and trailer combination you can find and tow it at the absolute limit. Actual capacity depends on configuration, passengers, cargo, equipment, tongue weight, and several other factors. But having more capability gives you flexibility. The Colorado is also available in everything from relatively straightforward work-oriented configurations to aggressive off-road versions such as ZR2. If your life is mostly pavement, you probably do not need the expensive off-road hardware. If you regularly head into rough terrain, hunting areas, rural property, or difficult boat access locations, it becomes easier to justify. Between Ranger and Colorado, I would give Colorado the advantage if maximum mid-size towing and low-end torque are near the top of your list. I would lean Ranger if Ford's powertrain selection and towing technology appeal more to you. This is where personal use becomes more important than internet arguments. And before we continue into the top 5, here is our second CTA. If this comparison is actually helping you narrow down your next truck, hit the like button and subscribe to VHCar. We are not interested in simply saying every new vehicle is amazing. The goal is to figure out which vehicle makes sense for a specific buyer, and which expensive features you can probably leave at the dealership. Number 5 is the Toyota Tacoma. There was a time when recommending a Tacoma required almost no explanation. It had become one of those trucks people bought because their father had one, their neighbor had one, and apparently someone on the internet had driven one for 4 million miles without changing anything except the windshield wipers. The modern Tacoma is much more sophisticated. For 2026, Toyota offers an available iForce Max hybrid powertrain, producing up to 326 horsepower and a substantial 465 pound-feet of torque. Buyers can choose an 8-speed automatic transmission, while a 6-speed manual remains available in parts of the lineup, and Toyota offers an enormous variety of configurations. SR, SR5, TRD Pre-Runner, TRD Sport, TRD Off-Road, Limited, Hybrid Variants, Trail Hunter, and TRD Pro. That variety is both a strength and a warning. Do not simply walk into a dealer and say, "I want the best Tacoma." Best for what? A TRD Pro looks fantastic. But if your truck spends 98% of its life traveling between a house in Fort Lauderdale and an office building, you are paying a lot of money for engineering you may barely use. A more restrained Tacoma can still give you the truck's practical size and utility without turning every monthly payment into a reminder that you once watched an off-road commercial. For Florida, Tacoma's mid-size dimensions make sense. It is easier to maneuver than Tundra, Silverado, Ram, or F-150, while the available hybrid powertrain delivers a large amount of torque. If you want a truck for daily use, weekend outdoor trips, light to moderate towing, and occasional off-road driving, Tacoma deserves its reputation as one of the most versatile choices in the segment. But we are entering the top 4 now, and these trucks bring much greater towing capacity, interior space, and full-size capability. Part 2. Number 4 is the Ram 1500. The Ram is the truck I would strongly consider if comfort matters almost as much as capability. For 2026, Ram offers several dramatically different engines. The 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 with e-torque produces 305 horsepower and can provide up to 2,360 pounds of payload in the appropriate 4DR2 configuration. The available 3.0-liter Hurricane engine produces 420 horsepower and 469 pound-feet of torque, with maximum towing listed at 11,610 pounds. And yes, the 5.7-liter Hemi V8 is available again, producing 395 horsepower and 410 pound-feet, with towing capacity reaching 11,320 pounds in the cited 4PR2 configuration. The return of the Hemi matters because truck buyers occasionally make decisions with their ears. Does the Hurricane offer stronger torque? Yes. Is the V6 practical? Yes. Will someone still enter a dealership and purchase a Hemi because a V8 sounds like a V8? Absolutely. For Florida highway driving, Ram's more comfort-oriented personality makes it particularly appealing. Long stretches on I-75, I-95, or the Turnpike can make ride quality matter more than an extra half-inch of suspension travel you will never use. Compared with Tacoma and Colorado, the Ram gives you considerably more cabin and towing capability. Compared with Silverado and F-150, however, its maximum towing figures are lower. That is why Ram lands fourth. It may actually be the truck I would prefer for a long interstate trip, but this ranking has to consider everything, not just how relaxed you feel after 3 hours behind the wheel. Number 3 is the Toyota Tundra. Now we are firmly in serious half-ton territory. The 2026 Tundra offers its iForce twin-turbo V6 with 389 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque, while the available iForce Max Hybrid increases output to 437 horsepower and a massive 583 pound-feet. Maximum towing is rated at 12,000 pounds, with payload up to 1,250 pounds. But one specific Tundra feature deserves attention in Florida. The composite bed. Toyota offers 5.5, 6.5, and 8.1 foot bed lengths, and specifically describes its standard composite bed as resistant to dents, impacts, dings, and rust. In a state where trucks can spend years around humidity, rain, beaches, boating equipment, and salty environments, corrosion resistance is not exactly an irrelevant feature. The Tundra also uses a multi-link rear suspension with coil springs, aimed at improving ride comfort and towing stability. That contributes to a more controlled feel than the stereotype of an old truck bouncing across every highway expansion joint like the rear axle is trying to escape. The iForce Max is especially interesting. Unlike a small hybrid designed almost entirely around maximizing fuel economy, Toyota's system uses electrification to generate serious torque. 583 pound-feet is more than enough to make a fully loaded truck feel enthusiastic about leaving a traffic light. Compared with the Ram, the Tundra offers greater maximum towing and enormous hybrid torque. Compared with Silverado and F-150, it offers fewer overall powertrain combinations and a lower maximum tow rating. Still, for someone who wants a full-size truck, strong towing, a comfortable rear suspension, and a powerful hybrid option, Tundra is one of the strongest all-around Florida choices. Number 2 is the Chevrolet Silverado 1500. And this truck comes dangerously close to winning. The 2026 Silverado gives buyers 4 major engine choices: a Turbo Max 4-cylinder, producing 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque, a 5.3-liter V8 producing 355 horsepower, a 6.2-liter V8 producing 420 horsepower, and the 3.0-liter Duramax Turbo Diesel producing 305 horsepower and 495 pound-feet of torque. Maximum available towing reaches 13,300 pounds, while maximum payload reaches 2,260 pounds in the appropriate configuration. For Florida, however, the Duramax may be the most interesting engine. Chevrolet currently advertises up to 28 miles per gallon on the highway with the available 3.0-liter diesel, while still offering maximum available towing of 13,300 pounds in the properly configured truck. That is an extremely useful combination for someone who regularly drives long distances while towing. Think about a buyer who lives inland but keeps a boat near the coast. Highway efficiency matters. Torque matters. Towing stability matters, and Chevrolet has clearly spent a lot of time thinking about trailers. Silverado offers up to 14 available camera views, an in-vehicle trailering application, and available trailer blind zone technology. If you have ever backed a long boat trailer down a crowded ramp while 6 people behind you silently judge every steering correction, you understand why cameras suddenly become one of the most valuable technologies in the world. The Silverado also gives buyers several different personalities. A work-oriented truck can remain relatively straightforward. The LT and RST move further toward daily driver comfort. Trail Boss models add off-road attitude. ZR2 becomes much more specialized. High Country moves toward luxury. And if you want an even more upscale version of essentially the same general GM full-size philosophy, the GMC Sierra 1500 deserves consideration as well. The 2026 Sierra also reaches 13,300 pounds of maximum available diesel towing and offers trims ranging from Pro to Denali Ultimate. So why is Silverado number 2 and not number 1? Because the final truck takes almost everything Chevrolet does well and adds one feature that becomes unusually valuable in Florida. Number 1 is the Ford F-150. There is a reason this truck appears in almost every pickup discussion in America. Ford does not try to make one F-150 work for every buyer. It effectively gives you a collection of different trucks sharing one name. The 2026 F-150 offers a maximum available towing capacity of 13,500 pounds and maximum available payload of 2,440 pounds, giving it a slight capability advantage over the Silverado's published maximum figures. But maximum numbers alone are not why it wins. Ford offers the 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6, 3.5-liter EcoBoost, 5.0-liter V8, 3.5-liter PowerBoost full hybrid, and specialized high-output engines depending on trim. The 3.5-liter EcoBoost configuration can reach that 13,500-pound maximum towing figure. The 5.0-liter V8 can reach 12,800 pounds, and the PowerBoost hybrid provides up to 578 pound-feet of torque with 11,600 pounds of towing in Ford's current 2026 specifications. Then we reach the feature that pushes it into first place for Florida: Pro Power Onboard. With the PowerBoost hybrid, Ford provides onboard electrical power designed to operate tools and electrical devices directly from the truck. In most states, that is convenient. In Florida, it can be genuinely useful. A truck that can tow a boat, carry more than a ton of payload in the appropriate configuration, transport a family, travel comfortably on the highway, and provide mobile electrical power has an unusually broad skill set for a state where outdoor work, boating, camping, storms, and temporary power interruptions can all be part of life. That does not mean everyone in Florida should immediately buy an F-150 PowerBoost. If you live in downtown Miami, never tow anything, and simply want a bed for weekend shopping, a Maverick may be the smarter purchase. If comfort is your highest priority, Ram deserves serious attention. If you want mid-size simplicity and a naturally aspirated V6, Frontier makes sense. If you want maximum mid-size towing, Colorado becomes extremely attractive. If you want Toyota's combination of hybrid torque and a composite bed, Tundra deserves a test drive. And if diesel towing and trailer technology dominate your priorities, Silverado may actually be the better truck for you personally. That is the important point. The best truck does not exist without asking what the owner actually does. If I were choosing specifically for Florida, my priorities would be corrosion-conscious materials, strong air conditioning, useful towing technology, enough capacity for a boat or recreational trailer, a drivetrain suited to long highway distances, and either four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive if my lifestyle regularly takes me away from pavement. I would also resist the temptation to automatically buy the largest tires, tallest suspension, biggest engine, and most expensive off-road package. Florida is not Colorado. You do not need 37-inch tires to survive a Publix parking lot. For the average Florida buyer who wants one truck capable of handling almost everything, the F-150 takes first place because of its combination of towing, payload, engine choice, hybrid availability, trailer technology, and onboard electrical capability. For someone towing large boats regularly, I would put the Silverado Duramax extremely close behind it. For buyers who want something easier to use every day, Ranger, Colorado, Tacoma, and even Ridgeline may actually be smarter choices. And that leads to our third and final CTA: Tell us in the comments which truck you would actually buy with your own money. The F-150, Silverado, Tundra, Ram, Tacoma, Colorado, Ranger, Frontier, Maverick, or Ridgeline. And if you already own one of them in Florida, tell us what it is really like to live with. Your experience may help the next person watching this video make a better decision. Subscribe to VH Car for more rankings, ownership breakdowns, engineering comparisons, and honest discussions about which vehicles are truly worth buying. Because sometimes the best vehicle is not the one with the biggest number on the brochure. It is the one that actually fits your life. Number 4 is the Ram 1500. The Ram 1500 earns this position because it understands something many truck manufacturers occasionally forget. Capability matters, but you still have to live inside the truck every day. For Florida drivers covering long stretches of I-75, I-95, or the Turnpike, comfort can become just as important as an extra few hundred pounds of towing capacity. The Ram offers several different powertrain personalities. You can find the familiar 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 with e-torque, the newer 3.0-liter Hurricane twin-turbo inline-6, and available Hemi V8 configurations. The Hurricane is particularly interesting because it delivers strong torque without requiring a huge displacement engine. And if you tow a boat or travel trailer regularly, that torque matters much more than simply having an impressive horsepower number printed on a brochure. Where Ram really separates itself is ride quality and interior comfort. Even relatively ordinary versions feel more refined than older pickups used to. Move into higher trims, and the cabin begins looking less like a work truck and more like a luxury SUV that happens to have a bed attached behind it. Compared with the Toyota Tundra, the Ram can feel more luxurious. Compared with the Silverado, it may offer the more comfortable daily driving personality. But compared with the F-150 and Silverado at their maximum configurations, Ram does not dominate the towing capacity conversation. That is why it stops at number 4. If your Florida truck will spend more time on highways than construction sites, however, I would absolutely test drive one before making a decision. Number 3 is the Toyota Tundra. The modern Tundra is very different from the old naturally aspirated V8 truck many Toyota fans remember. Toyota now relies on a twin-turbocharged V6, while the available iForce Max hybrid system pushes output, and especially torque, considerably higher. And torque is exactly what you want when moving a heavy boat and trailer away from a ramp. The Tundra can tow up to roughly 12,000 pounds when properly configured, putting it comfortably into serious recreational towing territory. But there is another feature that makes the Tundra particularly interesting in Florida. Its composite bed. Florida means humidity, heavy rain, coastal environments, fishing equipment, wet gear, and potentially salt exposure. Anything designed to resist dents, impacts, and corrosion-related concerns becomes considerably more attractive here than it might be somewhere dry. Toyota also uses a coil spring rear suspension rather than the traditional leaf spring setup found on many pickups. That helps give the Tundra a more controlled and comfortable ride, especially when the truck is not carrying a heavy load. Would I buy the TRD Pro if my biggest obstacle every week was the speed bump outside Costco? Probably not. But the Tundra lineup gives you enough variety to build something much more sensible. The hybrid is particularly appealing if you want massive low-end torque without moving into a heavy-duty truck. Still, the final 2 trucks offer even greater towing capability and broader configuration choices. Number 2 is the Chevrolet Silverado 1500. If your Florida lifestyle involves serious boat towing, this may actually be the truck I would recommend over number 1. And the biggest reason is one particular engine, the 3.0-liter Duramax turbo diesel. The Silverado offers several engines, including the Turbo Max 4-cylinder, 5.3-liter V8, 6.2-liter V8, and Duramax diesel. That alone gives buyers enormous flexibility. But the Duramax combination of strong low-end torque, highway efficiency, and available towing capability makes it extremely attractive for Florida. Imagine living near Orlando, but regularly towing a boat toward Tampa, Sarasota, Fort Myers, or the Atlantic coast. You are not only towing, you are traveling significant highway distances while towing. That is where a diesel engine begins making considerably more sense. Properly equipped Silverado 1500 models can tow more than 13,000 pounds, giving buyers enough capacity for significantly larger recreational trailers and boats than the mid-sized trucks earlier in this ranking. Chevrolet also offers extensive trailering technology, including multiple available camera views. That may sound like an unnecessary luxury until you are reversing a boat trailer down a crowded ramp while 3 fishermen, 2 families, and 1 extremely impatient man in sunglasses are waiting behind you. At that moment, every camera becomes your best friend. Compared with the Tundra, Silverado offers more engine variety. Compared with the Ram, it offers higher maximum towing capacity. And compared with our #1 truck, Silverado becomes especially attractive if you specifically want a diesel. So why does it finish second? Because #1 offers perhaps the widest overall combination of capability, technology, powertrain choice, and Florida-specific usefulness. #1 is the Ford F-150. The F-150 wins this ranking not because it is perfect, but because it can be configured to solve almost every problem we have discussed. Need a basic work truck? There is an F-150 for that. Need serious towing? There is an F-150 for that. Want a V8? Available. Want twin-turbo V6 performance? Available. Want a hybrid? Also available. Want a ridiculous high-performance truck that can turn gasoline into noise at an alarming rate? Ford has apparently considered that customer as well. Properly equipped versions can tow around 13,500 pounds, putting the F-150 at the top end of the half-ton towing category. But there is one option that becomes especially interesting in Florida: the Power Boost Hybrid with Pro Power Onboard. Pro Power Onboard allows the truck to operate as a mobile electrical source for tools, equipment, camping accessories, and other devices. Normally, that is simply convenient. In Florida, where severe storms and power interruptions are genuine considerations, having a truck capable of supplying useful electrical power adds another layer of practicality. You could tow your boat with the same vehicle you use for commuting, home projects, long-distance travel, and emergency power. That is a remarkably broad skill set. The Power Boost also produces substantial torque, making the hybrid useful for performance and towing rather than existing only to improve fuel economy. And this is what ultimately puts the F-150 first. It does not necessarily destroy every competitor in every category. The Silverado Duramax may be better for certain long-distance towing situations. The Ram may be more comfortable. The Tundra Hybrid delivers enormous torque. The Tacoma and Colorado are easier to maneuver. The Maverick is drastically more sensible if you barely tow anything. But the F-150 covers the greatest number of situations without forcing the buyer into one specific type of truck ownership. So what should you actually buy in Florida? If you tow a large boat regularly, seriously consider the Silverado Duramax or a properly equipped F-150. If you want a full-size truck primarily for comfort and road trips, the Ram 1500 deserves attention. If you want Toyota, hybrid torque, and a durable bed, the Tundra is extremely compelling. If you do not need a full-size truck, Colorado, Ranger, Tacoma, and Frontier can save you from dealing with unnecessary size every single day. And if you simply need a useful bed while living in an urban area, do not dismiss the Maverick or Ridgeline because someone on the internet decided they are not real trucks. A truck should solve your problems. It should not create new ones simply because you wanted the largest vehicle in the neighborhood. And here is our third and final CTA. Tell us in the comments which of these 10 trucks you would actually buy with your own money. If you already own one in Florida, tell us what you love about it and what you wish somebody had warned you about before you bought it. Your experience might help another viewer avoid an expensive mistake. And if you enjoy comparisons like this, subscribe to VH Car because we are going to keep breaking down the cars and trucks people actually buy Comparing their engines, technology, costs, strengths, weaknesses, and the details dealerships do not always explain clearly. For Florida specifically, the Ford F-150 takes our number one position, not because it is the biggest, not because it is the most expensive, and not because every buyer needs one. It wins because when one truck needs to handle highways, boats, family duty, work, storms, towing, cargo, and everyday driving, very few pickups offer such a complete collection of tools in a single platform. And sometimes that versatility is worth more than having the biggest number on the spec sheet.